Giordano Bruno, 1548–1600, was an Italian philosopher, mathematician, poet, and cosmological theorist whose life and works played a pivotal role in the development of modern philosophy and science. His bold ideas about the nature of the universe, religion, and philosophy were ahead of his time and brought him into conflict with the Catholic Church, ultimately leading to his execution by burning at the stake for heresy. Bruno's life and work are significant not only for their impact on the scientific revolution but also for their influence on modern notions of freedom of thought, cosmology, and the relationship between religion and science. Early life and education. Giordano Bruno was born as Filippo Bruno in Nola, near Naples, in 1548. He adopted the name Giordano upon entering the Dominican order at the age of 17. As a young Dominican friar, Bruno was immersed in the scholastic teachings of Thomas Aquinas, and he demonstrated an exceptional intellect from an early age. However, his questioning nature and radical views would soon set him apart from traditional Catholic teachings. His early education provided him with a deep grounding in Aristotelian philosophy, which was the dominant philosophical system of the time, but it also exposed him to Neoplatonism, Hermeticism, and other esoteric traditions that would later influence his thinking. Bruno quickly began to challenge orthodox beliefs. He rejected the geocentric view of the universe, which posited that the Earth was at the center of the cosmos, in favor of the heliocentric model proposed by Copernicus. He also began to express increasingly unorthodox religious views, including his doubts about the Trinity and the divinity of Christ. These ideas eventually led to his departure from the Dominican order and his life as a wandering philosopher, seeking patronage and intellectual freedom across Europe. Intellectual contributions and cosmology. One of Giordano Bruno's most important contributions to philosophy and science was his vision of an infinite universe. While Copernicus had posited a heliocentric model of the solar system, with the sun at the center and the planets revolving around it, Bruno took this idea much further. He proposed that the universe was not only heliocentric but also infinite and filled with countless other worlds, each potentially inhabited by intelligent beings. This idea of the plurality of worlds was revolutionary for its time and directly challenged the Aristotelian Ptolemaic worldview that dominated medieval cosmology. Bruno's cosmology also reflected his belief in an underlying unity to all existence, which was heavily influenced by Neoplatonism and Hermeticism. He saw the universe as a living entity, with God as an immanent force present in all things, rather than a distant, transcendent creator. This pantheistic view was at odds with the teachings of the Catholic Church, which maintained a strict separation between God and creation. Bruno's philosophy also extended to the nature of knowledge and the human mind. He believed in the power of reason and intuition as pathways to understanding the divine, arguing that the human mind could access higher truths through intellectual and mystical insight. He was critical of the scholastic method, which he saw as overly rigid and dogmatic, and he advocated for a more fluid, imaginative approach to philosophy. This emphasis on intellectual freedom and the power of the mind to transcend traditional boundaries would later resonate with Enlightenment thinkers and advocates of free thought. Conflict with the Church. Bruno's ideas put him at odds with both the religious and intellectual authorities of his time. His rejection of traditional Christian doctrines, including the virgin birth, the Trinity, and the divinity of Christ, as well as his belief in an infinite universe, were considered heretical. Bruno's works, particularly his cosmological writings, drew the attention of the Roman Catholic Inquisition, which saw his ideas as a direct threat to the established religious and philosophical order. Bruno spent much of his life in exile, moving from city to city in Europe in search of patronage and intellectual freedom. He spent time in Geneva, where he briefly aligned himself with the Calvinist reformers, though he quickly fell out of favor due to his unorthodox views. He also spent time in Paris, London, and various German cities, where he continued to develop his philosophical ideas and lecture on a wide range of topics, from cosmology to memory and mnemonics. In 1591, after years of wandering, Bruno returned to Italy, where he was arrested by the Venetian Inquisition. He was transferred to Rome in 1593 and spent the next 7 years in prison as his trial for heresy unfolded. Bruno refused to recant his views, even under the threat of death, maintaining that his ideas about the universe, religion, and philosophy were based on reason and truth. In 1600, the Roman Catholic Church condemned Bruno as a heretic, and he was burned at the stake in the Campo de Fiori in Rome. Legacy. Giordano Bruno's execution marked the tragic end of a brilliant and visionary thinker, but his ideas lived on and had a profound impact on the development of modern philosophy and science. His concept of an infinite universe, populated by countless stars and worlds, anticipated later developments in astronomy and cosmology, including the work of Galileo, Kepler, and Newton. Bruno's cosmological views also laid the groundwork for the eventual shift from a geocentric to a heliocentric understanding of the universe. In addition to his contributions to cosmology, Bruno's philosophical ideas about the nature of knowledge, the role of reason, and the relationship between the individual and the cosmos resonated with later thinkers during the Enlightenment. His emphasis on intellectual freedom and his refusal to bow to dogma made him a symbol of free thought and resistance to authoritarianism. Enlightenment philosophers such as Spinoza and Leibniz drew on Bruno's ideas, particularly his pantheistic vision of the universe and his belief in the unity of all existence. In the centuries following his death, Giordano Bruno became a martyr for the cause of intellectual freedom. In the 19th century, during the rise of secularism and the spread of scientific inquiry, he was celebrated as a hero of free thought and a precursor to modern scientific thinking. Monuments were erected in his honor, including a famous statue in the Campo de Fiori in Rome, where he was executed. This statue, unveiled in 1889, has become a symbol of resistance to dogma and a tribute to those who have suffered for their ideas. Giordano Bruno's relevance today. Giordano Bruno's ideas continue to resonate in contemporary discussions about the relationship between science, philosophy, and religion. His vision of an infinite universe filled with countless worlds echoes modern astrophysical discoveries, including the confirmation of exoplanets and the exploration of the vast reaches of space. Bruno's belief in the possibility of life on other planets, while speculative in his time, has become a serious area of scientific inquiry today. Moreover, Bruno's emphasis on intellectual freedom and his critique of dogmatism remain relevant in an age where debates over the limits of free speech, scientific inquiry, and religious authority continue. Bruno's life and death are reminders of the dangers of suppressing free thought and the importance of fostering an open and inquisitive intellectual environment. In conclusion, Giordano Bruno was a pioneering philosopher and cosmologist whose ideas were far ahead of his time. His vision of an infinite universe and his commitment to intellectual freedom made him a key figure in the history of philosophy and science. Despite his tragic execution, Bruno's legacy lives on in the ongoing quest for knowledge, the exploration of the cosmos, and the defense of free thought. His life serves as both a cautionary tale about the dangers of dogmatism and a testament to the enduring power of human curiosity and imagination.